I guess we'll get started. You've come for the second presentation, which is good, so maybe I've worked out some of the kinks. Or maybe I'm now bored by the topic, and so I just won't even do as well. I'm not sure. I want to start off by saying that this presentation is a theoretical one, which is to say it's at the level of theory. I'm not talking about stats in here. I'm not talking about numbers. I'm not talking about trends. I am talking about ideas. And so on some level, if any of you want to sneak out and go to Andrew Van Valen's speech right now, I certainly wouldn't blame you for doing it. I kind of wish I could. So if you're wanting to know about the kind of nuts and bolts, then this is not the presentation for you. This is very much at the level of idea. And what I want to look at is the idea itself of celebrity and our interaction with celebrities, but really the idea of it, the concept of celebrities, and how that kind of perverts our understanding of normalcy and how a perversion of normalcy affects our interaction with human trafficking. So to get started, let me just speak to why I named this what I did, besides showing how cool I am to name it like this. The Brangelina. Brangelina is not a human being. Brangelina does not exist. Brangelina's existence is completely limited to cultural discourse. There is no Brangelina. There is a Brad Pitt and there is an Angelina Jolie, but this entity is a Frankenstein-like monster that exists only in discourse. You cannot point to Brangelina. When you point to Brangelina, you can only point at pictures of the two of them together. And that's important today, because I'm not talking about real people here. I'm talking about celebrity, which is not a real person. On the left here, we would say this is Brad Pitt. And Brad Pitt is, to my knowledge, a human being. He's not a robot. Faceplate comes off, diodes are swirling and whatnot. He's a real person, made in the image and likeness of God, an eternal person, capable of suffering, capable of joy, all the things that we are. This over here is what we're talking about today. And that's kind of the idea of Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt not as a human being, but Brad Pitt as he exists as a celebrity. Brad Pitt as he exists through Facebook interaction, through Twitter interaction, through interviews, through film, everything that comes from mass media level discourse. This is what we're talking about, not that. And some of you would balk and say, no, there's no difference between these two things. And those of you who think there's no difference between celebrity and the person behind the celebrity, this is part of the reason I'm giving this presentation. Because once you conflate these two things, you have a whole lot of problems. And I think you have problems of identity and problems of normalcy that I think spread into other ways. If you know anything about Brad Pitt, anything at all, it comes through a mass media level discourse. Brad Pitt has never spoken to you, ever. But I'm on his Twitter feed, and sometimes he says, hey fans, and I'm one of his fans, so he's kind of talking to me. No, he's not, right? All communication you have with Brad Pitt or any celebrity is manufactured. Manufactured by the subject himself, manufactured by film producers, by television moguls, whatever the case might be. It's always manufactured. You have no intimate reaction or intimate interaction with Brad Pitt, only with Brad Pitt-ness, we could say. Okay? So what we would say then is that this Brad Pittness signifies something, that it's really like a linguistic sign. And so based on a linguistic sign, it signs different things. So Brad Pitt, what is he? He's good actor, though I would bet we have actors on this campus who can act just as well as he can. He is good-looking guy. He cares about children. That there's all these kind of signs that we have Brad Pitt, and he becomes simply a kind of conglomeration of these signs. The actual person is not on the table right now. We're talking about this. I wanted to give just this. Some of you might not even know who Ted Danson is. I really don't know your level of cultural history here, but this is from The Onion. So I hope you know The Onion. It's one of our great cultural touchstones. It's a satirical newspaper. Rare disease nabs big-time celebrity spokesman. Flaner-Lathrop syndrome, I think Onion made that up. Foundation officials excitedly announced Monday that actor Ted Danson has been diagnosed with a rare, deadly, degenerative disease, bringing much-needed star power to their cause. This is the big one we've been waiting for. For years, our organization struggled with scant funding, a dearth of resources, and the lack of a prominent spokesperson to draw attention to this dread disease. Then, out of the blue, Ted Danson, Needless to say, we're elated, right? And so, what makes the Onion brilliant is because there's always truth in the Onion, right? That where celebrities go, cultural trends follow. And I want to talk about why cultural trends follow where celebrities go and talk about. All right. Now, the 20th century, I'll talk about the 20th century because the 20th century is really where celebrity culture takes off, and I'll talk about why that is. But the first thing I wanted to say is that there's nothing new about celebrities. This is a 4th century saint, icon of a 4th century saint, St. John Chrysostom, and in a church homily, he says, if you ask them who was Amos or Obadiah, or what is the number of the prophets or apostles, they cannot even open their mouths but for horses and charioteers. They compose excuses more cleverly than sophists or rhetoricians. So in the 4th century, you have John Chrysostom complaining the same complaint that your pastor might be saying, which is, you don't know church history, but you know every member of Jersey Shore. So don't tell me that you care about this religion. This has been complained about since the dawn of the religion. Okay? Nevertheless, the 20th century has allowed celebrity culture to kind of take off to a greater level. And I just want to real quickly go through why that is. Number one, 20th century gives us mass communication like we've never had. Like we've never had. If you know Jesus Christ Superstar, there's a line from Jesus Christ Superstar where Judas says, why didn't you come now in the 20th century when you actually could have had your message spread out to the entire world? Evangelism done. Right? We have mass communication where these messages from celebrities and about celebrities can go everywhere. So that you can find out about Brad Pitt when he's in California while you're, I don't know, in your igloo ice fishing in Maine or whatever. I think I have a good sense of what Spring Arbor students do in their leisure time. All right. Very important. You have to have a production of surplus. Celebrities really only thrive in a culture where we can consume things we don't need. So when you do your cross-cultural trip, and you go to a third world country, and do your cross-cultural trip to a third world country, and when you do that, and you ask them, so who are some of your movie stars, and what's going on in the music scene? You're like, what are you talking about? We don't have time for that. We don't have money for that. And so in the United States, we have time and money to consume and consume and consume and consume. And so we can, therefore, have a culture that brings forth a lot of celebrities. You have to have a decline of local culture and an increase in mass level culture. There are not California celebrities and Michigan celebrities and Florida celebrities. In Florida, I could put up a picture of Justin Timberlake, and they're like, that's Justin Timberlake. And I can put up a picture of Brad Pitt, and you know who Brad Pitt is. We are existing on the level of national and international culture here. If you're just talking about small communities, celebrities can't really exist. It needs to be on a much greater level. Number 4, just go through real quick, is that you essentially need a few hands controlling a whole lot of power so they can kind of push certain people, certain ideas of celebrity. And finally, social mobility. You have to be in a culture that has social mobility so that when you watch the Oscars on Sunday night and you got people walking down the red carpet, you can on some level say, that could be me one day. That could be me. So when I see that celebrity, yes, they're an other, but I believe that I could one day do this, right? And if you say, well, I don't watch the Oscars and I don't really go to movies, I don't own a TV, and then you put down your snobby tone, why are you talking so snobby? You put down your snobby tone, you're like, by the way, I'm going to go listen to my favorite musicians. The idea of celebrity happens in music as well. This is not just something we're talking about in film and television. The musician you love may very well be writing 3-chord pedestrian music. And we could probably go into our dorms around Spring Arbor and find original 3-chord pedestrian music. Why don't you want to listen to your dorm mate singing a song? Because he's not a celebrity. Because he's not a celebrity. All right. And so what happens within this culture with celebrity is we consume them. And this is a vital point that I'm making today, is that celebrities do not produce anything. Celebrities are the result of a production. We consume a celebrity. So, and this is perhaps antithetical to the way you think about celebrity, because you say, I'm going to go see that movie. Brad Pitt helped make that movie. He is a producer. No. The movie is a vehicle so that you can consume Brad Pitt. The album is a vehicle so you can consume that musician. The television show is a vehicle so you can consume that celebrity. And what are we consuming? We're consuming a way of life, a personality, a status. We are consuming what that celebrity seems to be. It's an ontological idea. We are consuming their very being. So I put up some celebrities here that kind of push a certain way of life or status. So you've got John Wayne. I know, dating myself, but I think we all still know who John Wayne is, right? So what is, I mean, even his picture here, right? I don't know if this is from The Searchers or what movie this is from, but he puts forward this kind of Americana lifestyle. Super Bowl commercial, Clint Eastwood. That commercial is pushing celebrity and not America. Because Clint Eastwood steps forward and puts this idea of what Clint Eastwood is, and that idea of what Clint Eastwood is America. That Clint Eastwood in some way represents America, right? And so if you don't care for Clint Eastwood movies, or you don't know him, then on some level you just kind of stay out of it. But all of these, Michael J. Fox, he's like the guy next door celebrity. He used to be the celebrity, he's my best friend, right? I mean, I see him in interviews and I just love him. You don't love Michael J. Fox. You love Michael J. Fox. You don't love any of your actors. You love the scare quote version of that celebrity. Our relationship with celebrities. Our relationship with celebrities is collaborative. I can't say it's a two-way street, but celebrities need us. Celebrities need us for their identity. Anybody know who this is? Okay, so I'm seeing not a single hand raised in this room. No one knows who this is. This is one of the most popular celebrities in the world. How many of you saw Slumdog Millionaire? So when the kids are running around in the slums and they're saying, this actor is coming, Amitabh, Amitabh, Amitabh. This is Amitabh Bachchan, an enormous Bollywood celebrity. None of you know it. And so if I brought Amitabh in and sat him right here, none of you would care at all. I'm just like, give us some elbow room, Amitabh. What's your problem, right? But if I brought Brad Pitt in here and sat him down right here, don't do that, right? Because I don't even know what's going to happen to me if you do that with Brad Pitt, right? You said you don't like him, but this is exactly the point. You don't know Brad Pitt. What don't you like about Brad Pitt? You don't like the celebrity idea of Brad Pitt, that which is put forth. So what you need is some kind of collaboration with the person who is consuming. If Brad Pitt, in his solid gold plane, which I assume he has, is flying across the Pacific Ocean, and the solid gold plane crashes because it's made out of solid gold, and the fuel he was using was, rare stamps from United Kingdom, and so it goes down and he crashes, and he gets onto that island. Brad Pitt, the human being, exists and is suffering. But the idea of Brad Pitt as a celebrity simply ceases to exist. The coconuts do not fall from the tree because they say, well, Brad Pitt, please drink our milk, right? The sea turtles don't say, here's some eggs for you because you're Brad Pitt. That doesn't happen. His celebrity goes away because there's no one to collaborate with that idea of celebrity. All right, Justin Bieber. You guys are playing into me like I staged this. The very fact that you groan about Justin Bieber, you don't know Justin Bieber. You don't know him. What are you actually groaning about? You're groaning about the celebrity identity of Justin Bieber. So I want to actually read a quote because our relationship with celebrities is based essentially on this idea of identification. And so I want to read this quote. This is from psychologist Michael Basel. Identification is, quote, when an individual adopts an attitude or behavior from another person when that attitude or behavior is associated with a satisfying, self-defining relationship with that person. I.e., the reason we like celebrities is because we want to be celebrities. We want to have their lifestyle. We want to have their look. We want to have their fame. Ironically, when people talk about wanting to be a celebrity or wishing they had that life, they're generally not talking about the ability of that celebrity. Very few people would say, man, I wish I could act like Angelina Jolie. I mean, she won an Oscar. That means something, I guess, within the field. But no one says that. What they want is they want her fame. They want her leisure. They want her globe-trotting lifestyle. They want her attention. So we want something from celebrities. We don't want any natural ability of that human being, right? None of these girls are saying, touch my hand, Justin Bieber, so I could pick a guitar just like you do. Does he play the guitar? I mean, does he actually play? I don't know. Yes, you do know. So what are they? They're reaching out for him because of celebrity. The end. Because of celebrity. So in some way, our idea of normal, because we want to identify with celebrities, and so that every celebrity you say you like, there's something about that celebrity that you want. There's something you want to consume from that celebrity to have your normal become that celebrity's normal. And so this becomes important because as we're consuming celebrities, we're also consuming ideas of normalcy because this is what we want. I want to look like this. I want to have leisure like this. I want to have attention like this. I want to be loved like this, whatever the case might be. Okay? And we live in 2012 in an extremely ironic culture. And so some of you might know a lot about celebrities that you despise, but you're still identifying with them. So if you hate Justin Bieber, which seems like methinks the lady doth protest too much, why are you worried about what 12-year-old girls mainly care about music? So anyone who says they really hate Justin Bieber, I automatically think, you've got like a secret collection of Justin Bieber posters or something like that. But even people who know about Justin Bieber, ironically, they know about him, and yet they say they don't want anything to do with him. This is a kind of same side or different side of the same coin. That I want to be not Justin Bieber. So those of you who play guitar in here, I want to be not Justin Bieber. You're still identifying. You're still basing an idea of normalcy on a celebrity. It's just you want to be the reverse of that. Sunday night was the Oscars. I don't know how many of you watch the Oscars. You're probably busy reading Plato or something like that. But maybe some of you watch the Oscars. And sometimes when people talk about why they watch the Oscars, they say, I want to see the dresses. But you don't want to see the dresses. Because you can see the dresses, especially with the internet, anytime you want. You can go to the websites of these designers and see the dresses. What you actually want to see is the celebrity glamorized more than ever before. You want that glamour. On some level, you want that glamour. And unless you think I'm being sexist or something like that, and perhaps I am just by putting sports and fashion up against each other, but just to generalize, guys, when you're watching SportsCenter, why are you watching SportsCenter? We watch SportsCenter because I care about sports and athleticism and the human body at its maximum potential. No, that came off the tongue way too easy, right? That's not why you're watching SportsCenter. You're watching SportsCenter for the same reason that people are watching the red carpet at the Oscars, for celebrity. Because if SportsCenter actually showed Canadian football highlights, what would you do? You would leave. You would change a channel. Because you don't care about Canadian football. But I'm sorry, Canadian football is at a higher level than college football. Now there's some slight rule differences, but in terms of athleticism, it's higher in college football, or it's higher in Canadian football. So why don't you care about Canadian football? Because you care about the celebrity of sports. You want to know whether Peyton Manning is going to sign on March 8th or not. That's what you want to know. You care about celebrity. You want to know what Peyton Manning did, not what a really good quarterback did. And this is why you don't care about European football. This is perhaps why you don't care about soccer if you don't care about soccer. But certainly, the Canadian football versus college football would show you really want celebrity as much as you think these other people are doing that you're perhaps higher than. And so what this leads to is a parasocial relationship. And this is a psychological term. Parasocial relationship is essentially, we develop a sense of intimacy with celebrities. And it's a perverted sense of intimacy because we have never had any kind of intimacy with any of these people. Yeah, but once I got a picture with him. Listen, you can come and take a picture with me after this presentation, and I'll sign something for you. But you'll walk away thinking, I don't really know who Brent Cline is. But in celebrities, we get the sense that we are in some way connected, even though we've never had intimate communication, because we keep getting all of this information about their lives. And so we keep consuming it. And you know kind of celebrity addicts and things like that who follow certain people, but I'm not just talking about that. I'm not talking about someone who is kind of coming to the level of stalking a celebrity or something like that. Anytime you have a connection with a celebrity, you are talking about a parasocial relationship. That is an undeserved intimacy. Brad Pitt doesn't know who you are, and he might care about you on some kind of abstract level, but if you sprain your ankle, he's not going to call you up and be like, dude, just want to see how you're going. You putting ice on that? That's just not going to happen, okay? Certification. In terms of our relationship with celebrities, certification is kind of the film industry or the TV industry, or even maybe music in general, our interaction creates this sense of intimacy with it. That wasn't said very well. What I'll say is, well, I'll use my wife as an example. So my wife was born and raised in eastern Idaho. Not a lot of movies made about eastern Idaho. I can think of one, Napoleon Dynamite. So when Napoleon Dynamite came out, everybody in East Idaho kind of went through this moment of certification, which is East Idaho is finally real. Why? Because I saw it on the screen. And why does it become more real when it's on the screen? Because my sense of normalcy is based on what's on the screen. So if there was a movie that took place on Spring Arbor's campus and then it went to Hollywood and they filmed it, showed it to the whole country, we would be very, very excited. Not because, oh man, this is going to be really good for Spring Arbor marketing and stuff like that. What we would do when we watch the movie is like, oh, I've got class there. I've been in that room. Well, what is that doing? That's in some way validating our existence through the medium of celebrity, through the medium of an entire industry of celebrity. And again, this can happen with music as well. You can do this in terms of going to concerts, right? You've never been to see him live? Oh, it's just a different experience. It may very well be a different experience. But it's also, oh, now I have somehow participated in this, and my love of this music is now validated because of it. All right, so let's move on then. Talked about the idea of consuming celebrities, our relationship with celebrities. And so then this question, do celebrities make us aware of issues, or do issues make us aware of celebrities? And so now I want to kind of move into human trafficking. And I want to kind of reiterate that I'm not talking about human beings here. I'm talking about the idea of celebrity. So when we talk about some celebrities who have a long history of social activism, I am not putting forward that they are all liars. They may very well benefit from it, but I don't put forward that Bono doesn't care about the issues he's involved in, or that Angelina doesn't, or Jolie doesn't, or George Clooney, or Sean Penn, or Audrey Hepburn. The other section was much better at picking out who that was. Know your movies, right? That I don't doubt that these people are indeed sincere, and that what they do is sometimes very good. The question is, what happens to us as we watch these celebrities do this? What happens to our ideas of normalcy, and what happens to our understanding of the issue if it's always coming through this medium of a celebrity? So we're going to watch a few commercials here. And when we watch the commercials, the first point I've got up here is that whenever celebrities are talking about issues, it doesn't matter whether they're sincere or not, the human being behind the celebrity is always the primary ontological fact, ontology, being. The thing that exists first and foremost is always the presence of the celebrity. It doesn't matter what issue the celebrity is. If I brought in Angelina Jolie and I stood her here to talk about her work as a UN Goodwill Ambassador, none of you would hear anything she has to say, because all you would do is say, Angelina Jolie's right here, and you'd be getting out your phones and you'd be doing this. And she could be just talking in French. It doesn't matter. Because what you're hearing is constantly, Angelina Jolie, Angelina Jolie, Angelina Jolie. Okay? That celebrity is always primary, no matter what they're putting forward. And so I just want to watch a few commercials that kind of play this out. So this is Kobe Bryant about how you shouldn't commit genocide.
We have the power. We have the power to unite people. If we can unite people who are willing to take a stand, miracles can happen. What do you stand for? In Darfur, hundreds of thousands have been murdered, mutilated, families torn apart. Please take a stand with us. We have the power to save lives, to restore lives. Join us at aidstillrequired.org. Together, we have the power to change the world.
Okay, so a few interesting things about this commercial. First of all, who we see constantly for about 27 of the 30 seconds is a close-up of Kobe Bryant. And the close-up itself is really fascinating, because before the 20th century, you never had a close-up of a celebrity. You might have a single picture, but even photography was fairly new in the 19th century. But now we're constantly seeing close-ups. And who in real life do you see close-ups of? Of people you are intimate with. Your friends, your family, the ones you love. Or perhaps, unfortunately, you're having to sit next to them in a focus presentation or something like that. But generally, you're not looking at them. I hope you're not just kind of staring at the person the entire, right? That we only see the faces close up of the people we love. But film and television as an industry is constantly giving us face close-ups of people, of faces. And so what this does is this creates this kind of false intimacy. And so for 27 seconds, we have a close-up of Kobe Bryant. And then for 2 seconds, here's some stills. And oh, by the way, here's a kid with no hand. So there's that, right? So already we see the celebrity is the primary ontological fact in this commercial. But what does Kobe Bryant tell you to do? He says, join us. He says, do this. Well, what does that mean? That means the us here is not solidarity with people from Darfur. The us here is solidarity with celebrities, and we want that. Research shows that we care about celebrities because of identification. So we will join with you, Kobe Bryant. We will not join with the people of Darfur, though, and that's not really your message. Let's just watch this one. Gisele Bündchen, the supermodel.
With this promise,
with this choice,
With this,
seedling,
I,
win.
with this action,
with this artwork,
This recycled bag, I,
the win.
with this idea,
These knowledge,
this matter,
with this frog,
with this alternative,
I
be wed. With this planet, I, be wed. Please join us in celebrating World Environment Day.
every year,
Everywhere,
everyone.
thank you.
Okay, this commercial tries another form, which is let's just put Giselle, the supermodel, in a long list of people. So we could have done this experiment where I printed out about 20 pictures. Some of them in the commercial, some of them not in the commercial. And I would just kind of go through it and say, was this person in the commercial or not? And you would get some of them right and some of them wrong. Who would you always get right? You would always get Giselle right. Because Giselle, even when Giselle's not on the screen the most, her celebrity is always primary in that moment. By the way, what was the website for Kobe Bryant's commercial? How many of you remembered it? So less than half? You just watched it like 2 minutes ago. Now, I've got the word Kobe Bryant up there because it's kind of cheating. But if I'd said, who's the person who's shilling this? It's a pejorative term, but who's the person putting this forward? You would all say, Kobe Bryant. Of course, Kobe Bryant. So the issue gets obscured. Kobe Bryant does not. This is an issue specific to human trafficking, this third commercial. So I'll just let you watch, and then we can kind of react to it after you see this commercial.
real men prefer a close shave. Real men don't buy girls.
Piers Morgan is a real man. Are you?
Okay, so there's all kinds of different directions we can take this. First of all, he's asking you not to engage in purchasing children for pedophilia. I feel like if you're inclined to do that, Justin Timberlake is not going to be able to convince you otherwise. Like, man, what should I do today? How about pedophilia? No, that's what Justin Timberlake told me not to, so I won't do it. Right? So on some level, this is an odd commercial because what kind of impact can it actually have, right? But the way the commercial works itself, some of you laughed during the commercial. It is a commercial about having sex with underage slaves, and you laughed. But guess what? You were supposed to laugh. So what is this commercial actually about? In what way is it about sex slavery of underage girls and boys? And what way is it about Justin Timberlake putting forward an idea? And again, the actual human being, Justin Timberlake, may very well be a crusader against this topic. But that commercial and our engagement with Justin Timberlake only exists at the level of celebrity. And you can hear the identification in the commercial much like you can in the Kobe Bryant commercial. Real men want a close shave. Real men don't buy girls. So, your image of masculinity, guys, they know what you're doing. You cannot like Justin Timberlake, but Justin Timberlake's persona of masculinity is still affecting the way you put yourself forward. And they know that. That's why the commercial exists. They recognize that you identify with these people. That's why they would say, because you identify with us, don't do this thing we're not doing. And then we're going to give you all these images of real men. Okay? You'll notice all of these issues, they're all national, if not international issues. And this should almost be just implicit, because a celebrity doesn't work on a local issue. Because celebrity exists within a mass culture. And so their issues have to be mass culture. It has to be fair trade, human trafficking, issues of maybe cancer, some kind of disease. You're not going to have a very specific issue that's related to Benton Harbor. Justin Timberlake will never do a PSA about Benton Harbor, because that celebrity doesn't play in San Antonio. Benton Harbor, I don't care about Benton Harbor. Why is this happening? His influence can be about these national issues, because his celebrity is national and well, frankly, international. Okay, so let's talk about what all this really means then. It means that we consume celebrities. And in this way, we're really engaging with celebrities, and we're not engaging with human trafficking. Instead, human trafficking is just another sign for a celebrity. So we can take Johnny Depp. Did you know Johnny Depp is really against human trafficking? I don't know, I just made that up. But maybe he is. It doesn't really matter. We can kind of substitute human trafficking with breast cancer awareness, or another disease, or fair trade. All good and right issues to care about. But for a celebrity, it is completely interchangeable. It doesn't really matter, so long as the idea is creating the same identification in us. So if Johnny Depp puts forward, I'm pro-cancer, that will affect things. But so long as we can already identify with what they're doing, it doesn't really matter what they're doing. So the kind of last move I want to make here is this sort of so what? And I want to talk about normalcy and personhood. So we know, research just shows, the kind of classic problem is I'm different than everybody else. I engage with celebrities on a different level, so I'm different than what the research says. But the research shows us that the reason we follow celebrities, the reason we care about celebrities, the reason we go to the movies is because of celebrity, so that we identify with that celebrity. Because our normalcy is being set up by celebrities. Right? So if you want a certain hairstyle, you show a celebrity. If you want to, does this match? Does this outfit match? Well, sure, because I've seen people do that, and the people I've seen do that are people I'm identifying with. So in some way, our normalcy is being created between us and the celebrity. And it's a perverted normalcy. It's not real. The person that we're connecting with as a celebrity isn't even real. It's a perverted idea of normalcy. But here's the problem. Their idea of normalcy has nothing to do with this. Because the celebrity is always the primary ontological fact, and because they're controlling, to a great degree, our idea of normalcy, both as an individual as well as culture, as we engage with them, our sense of normalcy is them. But human trafficking is not them. So as we move closer to a celebrity, even if the celebrity is speaking out on human trafficking, we are still moving away from the normalcy of a trafficking victim. Because what I want, what I see, what is normal existence is being based on people in Hollywood, people within the music industry, whatever the case might be. So what happens to trafficking victims? They disappear and disappear and disappear and disappear because that's not normal. This is not our idea of normalcy. But wait, the celebrity puts forward the idea of normalcy. It's still coming through the celebrity. The only reason that works is because we have already identified the normal with the celebrity. So this is the problem of celebrities putting something forward. I'm actually just going to read this, just because I think I can read it better than I can say it. As our normalcy is determined by celebrities, then we threaten rejecting those realities that don't fit that normal. Ironically, the people in an issue like human trafficking have a completely different normal than these celebrities. Therefore, as we go to identify with celebrities, we separate ourselves from those the celebrity is actually supposed to be connecting us with, in this case, the trafficked. We care about Justin Timberlake because we identify with him. The more we identify with him, the more we assume his existence as normative. And the more we accept his existence as normative, the more we are separated from the existence of trafficking victims, no matter how many times Justin Timberlake reminds us of trafficking victims. The great irony in this is what we're doing with celebrities is we are consuming them. We consume celebrities. We take this kind of bastardized version of personhood and consume it. This is what happens in human trafficking as well. It doesn't matter whether it's for sex or wage labor, whatever the case is. You take the innate personhood of a human being and you reduce it to an economic fact. So the image and likeness of God goes away, and what takes its place is, what can I get from this person? Personhood is corrupted when we engage with celebrity culture. Personhood is corrupted in human trafficking. I'm not suggesting celebrities are victims like human trafficking. Nor again am I suggesting that celebrities cause human trafficking or anything like that. But I think we have to note in a culture where most of us today will not engage with human trafficking victims, but we will engage with celebrity culture, that what is this doing philosophically to the way we see the world? And one thing I think it's doing is it changes our idea of normalcy. And we start to move away from that which is actually real. And instead, we take on what is essentially a very narcissistic act. That consuming celebrities, we want something from that celebrity, is a narcissistic act. And then what happens is the celebrity likes some pet issue, and again, I don't mean to be pejorative with that. Then we like it as a pet issue as well. But we like it in so much as the celebrity does. So a few years ago, Darfur was the very trendy topic on campus. That's what snuck into classes, was Darfur. It was also a time when George Clooney was meeting with our president, was meeting with Congress, was meeting with the UN. It was very trendy in Hollywood as well. In 2012, we can call human trafficking a kind of de rigueur, trendy topic right now. And it's also a time when you have commercials of celebrities. Now, don't get me wrong. It is good and right for us to have a focus on human trafficking. But the problem is, what is the cart and what is the horse here? What will actually motivate you to do something for human trafficking? They're spending a lot of money on these commercials because they know good and well it matters. This is like when people watch the Super Bowl and say, I'm not affected by Super Bowl ads. Marketers would not spend millions upon millions upon millions of dollars if they actually thought you were not affected by advertising. You are indeed affected by advertising. And we are indeed affected by a culture in which we're constantly swamped in celebritydom. So as we have this narcissistic act toward the celebrity, we might get into a problem when we don't see our narcissism as narcissism anymore. We actually see it as altruism. And that's really dangerous. When we're doing something selfish with the veneer of selflessness. So I care about human trafficking. I care about human trafficking because I am in some way imitating a celebrity. I am in some way imitating a celebrity trend. But what happens when that celebrity trend moves to something else? And it will move to something else. When it moves to something else, what happens to our concern with human trafficking victims? Because our normal is based not on real people, but on celebrity, we run the risk of leaving people behind that we shouldn't be leaving behind. Okay? Well, for the sake of time, I'm going to stop there. And then we'll just, we can go a couple more, but let's just stop here and see if there are questions in one form or another. Do we have questions? Open and shut case? Done. Yes, I will never watch a movie again. Well, perfect. You got my message loud and clear then. That's exactly what I was trying to say. So, questions? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So you're saying you're completely against using celebrities to try to raise awareness for issues, or if you think that's how it should be, celebrities should be involved in raising issues at all, how should we raise these issues then? It's like I feel that with celebrities, yes, we identify with them, that may not be the best thing, but at the same time, if it gets people to act and to actually buy into the issue and care about the issue, how is that a bad thing?
Okay, well, the first issue is, without research, you accept that celebrities are working. that the idea of celebrity has been effective. So already, I think just, again, to kind of interrogate our own senses of normalcy, the fact that celebrity's involved, we think actually will do something for us. Instead of just saying, now I'm aware of, right, that's kind of a code word. As long as you're aware of an issue, then you're a good person. So you can talk about it at a dinner party or something like that. Did you hear about what's going on in Darfur? No. Man, you really should. Well, what do you know about it? I know it's bad and there's people dying. But at least I knew that was happening, right? So already your default position is that celebrities actually can motivate us to actually do something beyond ourselves. So that's already kind of institutionalized in your question. But it's nevertheless a really good question. The issue is that the medium is really the message. That the very nature of celebrity means you are not engaging with the issue. You are engaging with celebrity. And I say this, and it might not sound this way, but I say this value-free. It just is that way. So if you as an individual watch Justin Timberlake shave with a chainsaw and then run out and save people from slavery, then great, you did something good. No one would, well, that was wrong because you did it. But I do think it's kind of like the issue of, let's say you also, I told you had to go paint an old lady's house. And so you go and paint the old lady's house. And the entire time you're painting the old lady's house, you are despising this woman. And then you walk away and the house is painted. Was this good or bad? Well, the house got painted, but what does it do to your soul? What does it do to your relationship with this woman? That if we simply judge it by the product, then yes, it's absolutely good. And as far as the lady's concerned, she might say, well, I don't care if you hate me or not. Thanks for painting my house. That was really great. But what does it do to your sense of self that you spent the entire time grumbling and despising this woman? So all I'm saying in that is that the issue is somewhat bifurcated, and we can't just say good or bad. That you might do something good, but in doing something good, we might be destroying something even larger, which is our sense of self, which is our sense of our relationship with the other. So that as we move away from human trafficking and on to the next issue, we helped with human trafficking, but we're even more couched into narcissism, so that next issue becomes, well, I'm not interested in some kind of way. Right? I hope that makes sense, because your question's a great one. That if we just simply judge by results, and celebrities do something, then this is good, right? This is good. Well, judging by, yeah, that person's out of slavery. That's great. But there are other issues besides results and all kinds of things. Through the use of force, we can get our economic equality in this country even, right? We can do that no problem. We can end poverty in this country if we wanted to with the threat of force. We say something is lost when we go about it certain means. So no, it's not really an issue of saying celebrities should not do this. It's just a matter of interrogating what's happening to us as we engage with celebrities who do this.
So really you're making an argument for authenticity, right? Because we need to become authentically involved in these issues with celebrities. And would we become engaged with human trafficking if Justin Timberlake wasn't, if mass media wasn't bringing it to our attention? So then how do we do that? Like, how do we actually care about a cause despite mass media?
Okay, well, a couple things. Yeah, you're kind of right with authenticity. I would just not want to use that word because it sounds like a self-esteem-y kind of self-actualization New Age term. I mean this religiously, that it affects our idea of celebritydom, affects our idea of personhood. That when we look at another person, there's nothing more important to you. You cannot engage with God if you do not engage with other people. So you're right, but I want to say it's much more than just authenticity and know thyself kind of thing. In terms of how do we do it despite mass media culture? We live swamped in a mass media culture. And sometimes I think the only right response is someone like Stephen Colbert. And I mean that, which is, I can't stop this, so I'm at least going to be constantly interrogating it and deconstructing it, constantly. Because you can't, unless you go to the Amish, and maybe even the Amish know who Brangelina is. I don't know. I should have brought one in and asked. Then in some way running away doesn't help. And so if nothing else, if we're kind of constantly interrogating what's happening with celebritydom, that might itself be helpful. In terms of what you can specifically do outside of mass media, Mary Darling has planned this focus day wonderfully. And I think 2:30 or 3:30 or something like that, you can actually find out things you can physically do that are not related to emulating a kind of identification, which is not only foreign, but simply false, just not true.
Since celebrities are taking away, or defining our normalcy in personhood, are they then taking away the personhood from human trafficking?
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't mean to simplify any kind of issue. Obviously, your sense of normalcy is affected by family and whatnot. So celebrity is part of a larger whole. But whether they're taking it away, I mean, perhaps on the level of what the idea does to another idea, right? And that's where I wanted to make sure I was saying, I'm not saying the idea of celebrity causes human trafficking. What causes human trafficking is greed. It's always greed. It's always greed. That I want money, so I will not pay this person enough. I want sex, and I don't care whether this person wants that or not. I want for me. All I'm suggesting is that our relationship with celebrity is essentially based on that exact same premise. This is something I want for myself. I'm not going so far as to say doing one causes the other, or if we didn't have celebrities, we wouldn't have human trafficking or something like that. We'll have human trafficking as long as we have greed. We will have people oppressed and lost senses of personhood so long as we refuse to recognize the image and likeness in another person, no matter what they do to us. So I don't know if that's a wishy-washy answer to your question, but.
I think in a sense, this whole normalcy and celebrity thing happens on a smaller level, especially on college campuses. And I guess my question to you is like, what do we do when the people that have really stirred this, even this sex trafficking and all of this up, when they leave, how do we continue this? I mean, because next year, focus is not going to be about this anymore. So, like, how do we continue? I think college campuses can be a huge place where we can make changes and stir this up, but how do we continue that when we have left our celebrities?
The first thing I would say is I am going to defer to those experts in the field and tell you, we are going to a chapel speech about this very thing and for the rest of the day. So I am not your authority on this matter. In fact, I am in the exact same position that you are. As a father of two living in Jackson, Michigan, I don't go to massage parlors. I don't engage in this kind of stuff. So what do I actually do? Do I need to stop buying sweatshop labor? I mean, is that at least some kind of starting point? Is there something I can do as a consumer? Probably, yeah. Am I actually willing to do it? That's the much harder question. Maybe while I'm on fire, I can do it. But I will say, and I know this sounds like a cop-out. I know it sounds like a cop-out. But this is what happens, and for those of you who have taken my classes before, you hear this a lot. We live in a global culture. And here's the problem with the global culture, is you hear about problems all around the globe, constantly. And so you've got a friend who really cares about Zambia. I don't know. And you've got another friend who really cares about Guatemala. And then you say to that friend, well, what about Zambia? What about Guatemala? What about breast cancer? What about Lou Gehrig's disease? What about all this kind of stuff? And if you actually kind of engage with all of this stuff, you will burn out. And you will become cynical really, really quickly. And so I don't mean this as a cop-out, but nevertheless, right living in your own community and respecting the other within your own community is not just a drop in the bucket. It is the premise of all other social change. That the idea that you want to change a topic out here, but you devour your brothers and sisters on this campus is absurd. It's completely absurd. And if not just completely destructive as well, that you walk around with your back very straight, that I care about this issue, and I know that person has no friends, and no, they deserve it somehow. my righteous indignation, they did something wrong to me an hour or a year ago or whatever the case might be. So I don't want that to be a cop-out answer, but instead I want to see that that's kind of like what the bucket is made out of in terms of drops in the bucket. That your general response to the other is what matters, because you can't care about all this stuff, right? And I think on some level, just our honesty towards that, when we hear issues and we can just say, I don't care. I don't care. And maybe I should, but I don't care. Instead of feigning this interest in every single problem of the world. Because guess what? 300 years ago, when you didn't have instant access to the entire world, you didn't have this problem. Because you didn't know about this stuff. Now you have all kinds of awareness. And because of all that awareness, you now have paralysis. Because what can you do? And so do you have your kind of pet things? Then great, have your pet things. But I still think the premise of all of that is your relationship with the other, which is respecting the image and likeness no matter what that person does. There is no vengeance allowed, period. Emotional vengeance or physical vengeance in our religion, zero. So that respect of the other, I think, is the primary focus. Other questions? Okay, well, thanks for coming. And I hope you go to the other stuff.